Welcome everybody. Welcome to a special live stream on Earth Day.
Here we are on Earth.
On Earth in a beautiful nature
by
preserve.
nature.
Yeah, couldn't do it better for 21 Earth Day.
Yeah.
And here with a very special guest, probably one of the greatest innovators and engineer of our time, the CEO of Tesla, of SpaceX, of a bunch of other companies, and someone I'm proud to call a friend. Elon.
Hey, Peter.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's the perfect setting for our conversation today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a long time now.
Yeah, 21 years, I think. It was like 2000?
Yeah, whoa, it is. I think it was 2000 in like Brazil.
Brazil. It was
actually in a similarly nice sort of setting.
Yeah, it was Adeo's birthday.
Yeah, Florianopolis.
In Florianopolis.
Yeah, and you're trying to convince me not to start a rocket company.
I was trying to convince you to fund the original X Prize before I met Anusha.
Yes, but you also you're like really advised me not to start a rocket company because I would lose all my money, which I thought you were probably right. So I thought a 10% chance of success, but anyway, seems to have worked out.
I'm sure glad you didn't follow my advice.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we're going to talk a little bit about the rules, try and encourage teams around the world to register for this thing.
Yeah.
Get as many innovators, students talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is like basically to do something that have it be sort of interesting, fun, and ultimately useful, and to spur creative ideas for what is actually the smartest way to take the trillions of tons of carbon that we've removed from the ground and will remove from the ground, from deep underground, and we've placed that carbon in the atmosphere and oceans, which obviously changes the chemical constituency of the surface of the Earth.
Yeah.
Now I should sort of measure my statements in that I think the Earth, like I don't think we're currently doomed, to be clear. There's a very important very importantly there are people in all parts of the spectrum, ranging from nothing to worry about, CO2 just makes things better, to we're doomed and there's nothing we can do about it. I am somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So my concern with the CO2 is not kind of where we are today, or even the current rate of carbon generation, but really if carbon generation keeps accelerating and we keep getting that increase in the Keeling curve, the CO2 possibility in the atmosphere, and if we keep going and if we're complacent, then I think we could. There's some risk of sort of nonlinear climate change. Or even the current rate of carbon generation, but really if carbon generation keeps accelerating and we keep getting increase in the Keeling curve, the CO2 possibility in the atmosphere, and if we keep going and if we're complacent, then I think we could. There's some risk of sort of nonlinear climate change. So thus far we've seen the CO2 possibility be fairly linear on our time scale, although it looks very exponential on geologic time scale. But there are certain potential nonlinear events, like if we raise the temperature to the point where we melt the Siberian traps or something like that,
and methane escapes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a massive amount of sort of frozen dead plant and animal matter in Siberia. There's potentially trapped gases deep in the ocean. If the ocean warms, that could be released. So these are just risks that are not wise to take. And since we know that long term we're going to have renewable energy anyway, because we'll run out of oil and gas. It's not going to last forever. So we know where this ends up. This has to end up with renewable, sustainable energy. It's tautological. It's really just a question of, do we try to get there sooner or later? And we should try to get there sooner. It's obvious. Why run how long do you want to run this experiment?
Yeah, it's also true that even if we stopped CO2 production, that's probably still not enough, that we do need mechanisms for extraction of CO2 from the atmosphere and the oceans. that
Well,
don't exist right now?
You know, as I said, I am. People sometimes think I'm sort of like. I'm kind of in the middle of the spectrum. You know, I think if we stopped CO2 production today, which obviously we could not do without civilization coming to a grinding halt and mass starvation and all sorts of terrible things happening. So we could not stop CO2 generation today. But I think at the the sort of 400, possibly even 500 ppm level, I think it's probably okay. But if as the world industrializes and we're sort of at 8 billion people, get to 9 billion people, have a lot more industrial output per person, you could see at what might be okay at sort of 400 or 500 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere might become quite dire at 1,000.
Yep.
And the trend is certainly in that direction if we don't do anything about it. So that's why I think it's just probably an unwise experiment to run. Even if you think that this is why I think it should be a compelling argument to even those who would assign a low probability to increased CO2 causing problems. Like let's say you think it's 99.9% likely that that adding all the CO2 to the ocean's atmosphere is going to be fine. So you're saying there's a 0.1% chance of disaster. Well, there's only one. So right now we're going to get one planet. Well, even a 0.1% chance of disaster, why run that risk? Yeah. That's crazy. So, so I think what's likely to play out is that we will continue to add a lot more CO2 to the ocean's atmosphere, and also ocean acidification, as you know, is also an issue. It's you don't want to sort of add carbonic acid to the oceans and change the pH level because it destroys reefs and all that. So
which it's actively doing right now as we're watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a problem.
I remember when I first met you, Elon. It was about 2000, and I remember you had two massively transformative missions. It was one making humanity interplanetary. Yeah. And the second was bringing us to a sustainable economy. Yeah. A sustainable energy economy.
Right. Exactly.
And I think you've done pretty damn good. Are you happy with the progress you've made?
Yeah, I think it's hard to complain. The outcome so far has been great. Although obviously, we've not yet sent anyone to Mars, and hopefully will in the future. And in fact, just a few days ago, or late last week, I guess, NASA awarded SpaceX the contract.
Awesome, $2.9 billion for the next lunar lander.
Yeah, so a SpaceX craft will be the next craft to put humans on the moon. I believe the first human will be a woman actually this time.
Yes.
So this is great. Yeah. But of course we have to actually do it. And then tomorrow we've got our third astronaut launch to the space station.
Before we dive into the carbon removal rules and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously a bit of a dichotomy because our rockets do produce carbon,
True.
And people are like, "Oh, what a hypocrite!"
Sure, no.
He's obviously just in for the money.
But let's talk about the Crew 2 mission.
I feel I should address this.
Right.
You being a hypocrite by launching rockets that produce carbon. Here's the problem is right now there's really no way to get around the physics of a rocket. So I think it's important for the long-term preservation and ultimately the expansion and extension of the scope and scale of consciousness and the long-term probability of survival of humanity and life as we know it. We must become a multi-planet species because there are all these risks that we can't control.
Existential risks.
There's all these
asteroid strikes.
Yeah. There's like
super volcanoes.
We could do we could have a World War III or something. There's I'm optimistic about the future, but you can also say like, okay, well, so how long do you think civilization will last before there's a catastrophic event? If you say infinity, this is not correct.
Yes.
Okay. This is not. History does not suggest that. History just suggests we do dumb things to civilizations all the time. This is ancient Egyptians, ancient Romans. Where are they now? Let's do the video series. Where are they now?
Yes.
The Babylonians, peak. Sumerians, you name it. So